Welcome back. We're going to talk about this idea of the Pythagorean theorem and seeing if the measurements of a triangle form a right triangle. So this is using what's called the converse. Now the converse, it real basically says if the measurements work in the Pythagorean theorem, then it's a right triangle. So we won't get too much into what a converse exactly is just for our sake. But it's saying if these numbers work in a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then it must be a right triangle. So let's start with our Pythagorean theorem. We know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And if that doesn't sound familiar, you're going to want to check in with the last video one more time. Now we're just going to plug our values in. So we're just going to do a substitution. We're going to substitute 9 for a, 12 for b, and 15 for c into our Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to do 9 squared plus 12 squared equals 15 squared. So I replace the a with 9, the b with 12, and the c with 15. Now, a common error students will do is they won't remember to put the square on each number. So you want to be very careful there. All right, now we're going to square them. So I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm just going to multiply it. Well, the first one I know, 9 squared, that's 81. 12 squared, I know, 144. Now 15 squared, that's one that we didn't really use too much, so we're just going to double check. 15 times 15 is 225. So my question that I'm asking myself, does 81 plus 144 equal 225? Well, 81 plus 144 is 225. Pythagorean theorem tells us that if a squared plus b squared is equal to whatever c squared is, that it is a right triangle. So this is a check mark. Yes. Right triangle. So I know that those lengths form a right triangle. Example 2, 35, 36, and 12. Okay, looks a little different. We don't know what A is, we don't know what B is, we don't know what C is. We talked about something in the previous video about the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side always. So that tells us that 36 has to be C. Even though it's in a different order, it has to be C. So if I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, 36 has to go in for C. There's no question about it. Now, A and B, on the other hand, are a little different. A squared plus B squared would be the same thing as B squared plus A squared because it's addition. So it doesn't matter which one I choose for A and which one I choose for B. And that's true for any leg. When we're dealing with legs, as long as they're leg numbers and they go in for A and B, everything is going to be okay. One doesn't have to be A, one doesn't have to be B, so you don't have to worry about it. The only thing we have to make sure is that the C value is the longest one. It is the hypotenuse because there's only one hypotenuse. All right, so I'm going to put 35 in for A, and I'm going to put 12 in for B. So 35 squared plus 12 squared, remembering my squareds. All right, these ones I don't know, so I'm going to grab my calculator and do 35 times 35. That's 1,225. 12 squared, I know, that's 144. 36 squared, I don't know, 1,296. All right, I'm going to go ahead, add up my first two squares. So 1,225 plus 144, that gives me 1,369. 1,296. Are those equal? No, they're not. They are not equal to each other, so this would be a no. They don't form a right triangle. I should write that out, a right triangle. And that's how we can use the Pythagorean theorem to see if, hey, do these measurements make a right triangle?